This is a pretty good representation of your average Victorian cottage chair. You can see that the seat starting to give away there in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 7-step method on how to reweave this chair. These Victorian cottage chairs were made in the mid to late 1800s. They're all pretty much antiques today, and they were hand woven. There's two different methods of caning. There's hand woven cane and there's a machine cane. And I will also be demonstrating how you can tell the difference. If you'd like to know what type of application of caning your chair may have. Hand caning is quite a bit more involved than machine caning. It's a lot more time consuming. It's also a lot more expensive. So let's get going. There's two ways to tell if your chair is machine caned or hand caned. In this particular chair, we have little ribs that go around what's called the binding cane. If you just have a strip with no ribs, then chances are pretty good you have a machine cane chair. But a way to tell, to know 100%, is to turn your chair upside down and check the bottom. If you have a series of knots on the bottom side of your chair, you have what's called hand caning. You can see these series of knots that run along the outside. Like I said, that's how you can tell if it's hand caned. If you have a machine caned chair, you will not have these knots. Unless, of course, it's been converted. In some cases you may come across a chair that has been converted from hand cane to a machine cane. And in that case, you will have a series of holes, but you won't actually have any cane that comes through the bottom of the chair. So the first thing we need to do is we need to remove the old cane from the chair. Now, before we can actually get started on the chair and removing the cane, I thought I'd go through some of the tools that I like to use when I'm recaning. And I like to use a chisel to remove the old cane. Sometimes a carpenter's knife comes in handy. I also, on occasion, find the use of a flat-headed screwdriver. I like to use a Phillips screwdriver that is close to the size of my holes, and also an ice pick, set of needle nose pliers, tape measure, caning pegs. You can substitute tees for golfers if you're a golfer, if you know someone that is. I've never tried them myself, but I've heard of other people using them and they say they work well. So if you've got some of those around, you might be able to substitute those. Also, an important tool you're going to need is a cane gauge. What this does is this tells you what size cane to use, because there are many different sizes of cane. On one end you can measure the actual cane, and if you have a chair with no cane at all, the seat is completely gone, you have a hole gauge here, and your cane is sized according to the size of the holes in your chair. So that you're going to have that. I also, of course, there again, you got to have that cup of coffee. And my particular cup has the name of my wonderful wife, Elizabeth, on it. You will also need some glue. I don't normally use this Titebond tool glue for caning. I have it there just to jog my memory in this video. Usually I like to use an Elmer's white glue because it dries clear. And I will be demonstrating during the process of the caning this chair just how these tools are used. So I guess it's time for us to get started. I almost forgot to mention you will need a bucket or some kind of a tub that you can put water in. You're going to want to soak your cane. I like to get lukewarm to almost hot water to soak my cane. It should probably soak for about 15 minutes before you actually start weaving. It kind of softens it up. And then what I usually do is I leave it right in there the whole time that I'm actually caning the chair. You can add a couple drops of dish detergent to the water if you'd like. The soap kind of makes the cane a little bit slippery. I've tried it a few times. I've never really noticed a whole lot of difference. But that's something you can give a try if you'd like. And any caning supply store will be able to tell you how much cane you need. For them, usually you can just measure your chair, give them the measurements, and they will be able to tell you just how much cane you're going to need. Also, most places that sell cane, you can also buy your caning pegs and your cane gauge from as well. They also have several good books you can use. And I highly recommend, if you're going to be doing this on a regular basis, to get a book. Definitely helpful. Now to start removing the cane from the chair, I like to use a nice sharp 1/2-inch chisel. And what I like to do is work towards the inside. If I was to work from the outside, from the inside to the outside, I might scuff up this finish. And I really want to avoid that as much as possible. So if I go from the outside in, if I do scuff this at all, it's going to be hidden by the new cane. So what we want to do is we just want to cut these. And I'm going to work my way all around that chair, cutting these pieces of cane, and we'll be able to just lift this out like a mat. Now along the back here, I can't really work from the outside in because we have this piece here on the chair. So I'm going to have to just be real careful and kind of go sideways to snip these off. Once all the cane is removed from the chair, we can turn it upside down. And we can work on pulling all of these knots out. Just keep working at this, and you might have to go back through with the chisel, pull some of these out, depending how hard they're in there. Once we have the cane all pulled out from underneath the chair, you're probably going to have a few left inside the holes. If somebody used some glue, it might be real difficult to get out. So that's where I like to use this Phillips screwdriver. I can just go through, and I can just push it down in and clean all the old cane out of my holes if there should happen to be any in there. You also may find some pegs that somebody put in here just to hold the cane in. They will have to be pushed out. I've got one here that's in really tight. I'm going to try to push it out from the back, or from the bottom. If I can't get that out of there, I may have to run a drill through there and drill that out. I'm hoping I don't have to do that. Watch close and make sure you get all the cane out of there, because when you start weaving this back in, you need all the room you can get inside these holes, because some of them get pretty tight.